Welcome back to Fluent Talk, everyone. I'm Max, and that's Ava. Today we are leaving the physical world behind and diving into the most exciting and perhaps terrifying development of the 21st century, the Metaverse. We are transitioning our format today to an in-depth case study, starting with defining the future of digital identity.
Welcome, Max. Yes, I'm Ava, and Max is currently demonstrating why I'm concerned about our attention spans. But in all seriousness, the metaverse is more than just virtual reality. It's a persistent, shared, and immersive experience, a seamless blend of physical and digital realities where your digital identity and all your assets exist permanently.
Exactly. It's the next evolution of the internet. It offers incredible opportunities for digital identity. You're no longer constrained by your physical self. You can express yourself fully, create unique avatars, buy and sell virtual real estate, and participate in an entirely new digital economy.
But Max, what is the cost of that liberation? When people spend more time in this persistent immersive experience, where does their physical identity go? The line between the real and the virtual self blurs. That digital identity leaves an absolutely massive digital footprint that is constantly monitored, tracked, and monetized by the companies who own that virtual space.
But that digital footprint is what allows for the rich, personalized, immersive experience. The data allows your virtual self to be unique. Furthermore, for people who suffer from social anxiety or physical limitations, the metaverse offers a genuine escape, a chance to participate in the digital economy and connect with a global community.
For our listeners, it's crucial to understand the difference. A video game is temporary. The metaverse is persistent. Your avatar and assets are permanent, which makes your digital identity and digital footprint in that space extremely high value. We must protect that space. We must protect it, yes, but not just from hackers. We must protect it from the corporate owners. Immersive experiences are powerful, and the psychological impact of losing your virtual self, your digital identity, is real. We need strong data privacy laws and algorithmic transparency before this space becomes the Wild West. We've just discussed metaverse, immersive experience, and digital identity. If you want to know how the virtual world affects you, stay with us. We will define digital footprint and digital economy in the vocabulary summary.
The stakes are high. If our virtual self is so valuable, what happens when it's attacked? Next, we dive into the dark side of the virtual world, virtual harassment, and the fight for digital ownership.
The stakes are high. If our virtual self is so valuable, what happens when it's attacked? Next, we dive into the dark side of the virtual world, virtual harassment, and the fight for digital ownership.
When we talk about virtual harassment, we must be clear the harm is real. Attacks on your digital identity, sexual harassment, bullying, verbal abuse in an immersive experience have measurable psychological effects. We need a clear regulatory framework for behavior in these spaces, or they will become toxic quickly.
But the philosophy of the metaverse is decentralization. That means governance shouldn't come from a central authority, but from the users and the code itself. We can solve this technically. Better user controls, quick avatar blocking, and coded penalties for violations of platform terms and conditions. We shouldn't invite the government to impose a heavy regulatory framework on a new free space.
But that freedom is useless if your space is constantly violated. And speaking of value, the entire concept of digital ownership is transforming through non-fungible tokens, NFTs. If my digital art or my virtual land is owned and monetized via an NFT, it should be protected by the law, not just by code.
NFTs are revolutionary for digital ownership. They provide verifiable proof of authenticity and scarcity, transforming the digital economy. This is the core of Web 3.0.
true ownership of your digital assets, which can then be traded and sold globally with guaranteed algorithmic transparency.
You keep talking about NFTs and algorithmic transparency, but the core issue is that our legal system is miles behind. If someone assaults my avatar, my digital identity, and I feel psychologically harmed, the legal concept of digital ownership of my body is completely absent. We cannot solve a human rights problem with a blockchain solution.
You're right. We need to acknowledge the severity of the psychological damage. The regulatory framework must evolve to treat virtual harassment as seriously as real-world harassment, especially when it comes to digital identity. However, digital ownership via NFTs provides a necessary financial infrastructure to give the virtual world real economic stakes, which can, paradoxically, encourage better behavior.
The technology is moving faster than our minds can cope. We need to talk to someone who understands the human cost of living in this immersive experience. That brings us to our expert. We've just discussed virtual harassment, NFTs, and digital ownership. If you want to understand the economics of the future, stay with us until the very end. We will define decentralization and regulatory framework in the vocabulary summary.
That's right. Next, we welcome our guest, Dr. Evelyn Reed, a leading expert in psychopathology, to help us understand the profound impact of the metaverse on mental health. The stakes are high. If our virtual self is so valuable, we have to look at the impact on the human mind. Instead of our guest, we're going to dive right into the field of cyberpsychology and the risks to mental health.
The field of cyberpsychology is sounding the alarm. When the immersive experience is so compelling, it fuels massive escapism. People are trading their messy, complicated real lives for a perfect, curated digital identity in the metaverse. This leads to identity diffusion, a dangerous confusion between the self and the avatar.
But the same immersive experience can also be a massive tool for good. We've seen incredible advances in virtual therapy. For individuals with phobias, PTSD, or severe anxiety, the metaverse can create a controlled environment for safe exposure and treatment. It's a breakthrough for mental health access, especially for those in remote areas.
I agree on the therapeutic potential, but that is a highly controlled clinical setting. For the vast majority of users, it's a pure dopamine hit, driving compulsive use. We are replacing real-world intimacy with performative interaction. Escapism becomes addiction, and that is a major public health crisis we are choosing to ignore because the technology is fun.
The freedom to build a perfect life is, self-corrects, compelling, not addictive. We shouldn't pathologize every strong engagement. The issue is setting clear boundaries. If we teach digital literacy and promote healthy boundary setting between the physical and virtual self, then identity diffusion becomes less of a risk.
The best solution to mental health issues is true human connection, not a technologically mediated substitute. We must ensure that the allure of the metaverse doesn't completely eclipse the reality of the physical world. The psychological cost of persistent escapism is too high. We've just discussed cyberpsychology, mental health, and identity diffusion. If you've ever felt too connected to your phone, stay with us. We will define escapism and boundary setting in the vocabulary summary.
It's a balance of innovation and introspection. We've defined the challenges. Now we need to define the solutions. Next, we discuss the practical need for decentralized governance and a clear regulatory framework to protect us all. It's a balance of innovation and introspection. We've defined the challenges. Now we need to define the solutions. Next, we discuss the practical need for decentralized governance and a clear regulatory framework to protect us all.
If the metaverse is to be a space for human flourishing, it cannot be a feudal state owned by a handful of tech giants. We absolutely need a comprehensive regulatory framework that covers everything from antitrust laws to the protection of digital identity and data privacy. It must protect the consumer.
But a traditional top-down regulatory framework risks stifling the innovation that makes the metaverse so powerful. The solution lies in decentralized governance, letting user-owned organizations, often built on blockchain technology, set the rules. This ensures digital sovereignty for the individual, taking power away from centralized corporations.
Decentralized government sounds democratic in theory, but who protects the vulnerable user when harassment occurs? Who enforces a verdict when there is no central authority? A regulatory framework is essential to ensure a baseline level of accountability and prevent the space from becoming a free-for-all, where technical knowledge becomes the ultimate form of power.
We should view the current phase as building the fundamental infrastructure. It's like the early days of the internet before Netscape. We need to ensure that the foundational decentralization is in place now to prevent bottlenecks later.
Hold on, Max. For our audience, could you quickly clarify what you mean by building the fundamental infrastructure in this context? Because it sounds like you're prioritizing speed over safety.
Of course, infrastructure here means the underlying technology, the code, the blockchain, the network. We need to ensure that the code itself is based on digital sovereignty and decentralized governance so that no single company can unilaterally change the rules or seize your digital identity. That foundation allows us to build a better regulatory framework on top of it later.
So we agree. Decentralized governance can be the infrastructure, but a human-led regulatory framework must be the safety net. The ultimate goal is digital sovereignty, true control over one's own data and identity, which requires both strong code and strong laws to back it up. We've just discussed decentralized governance, the regulatory framework, and digital sovereignty. We've covered a massive amount of technical vocabulary today. Stay with us for our final segment.
That's right. Next, we wrap up this deep dive into the metaverse with the essential vocabulary list you need to talk about the future of the internet with confidence. Don't go anywhere. That's right. Next, we wrap up this deep dive into the metaverse with the essential vocabulary list you need to talk about the future of the internet with confidence. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the final segment. Today, we've chosen 6 essential terms that are crucial for understanding the ethical and technical landscape of the virtual world. Listen closely and repeat them out loud. First, the metaverse. This is a persistent, shared, virtual 3D environment that combines aspects of social media, online gaming, and augmented reality. Example, the metaverse promises a fully immersive experience.
Next, digital identity. This refers to the data, profiles, and attributes that are used to represent an individual on the internet and in virtual spaces. Example, your digital identity leaves a permanent digital footprint.
Third, virtual harassment. This is aggressive behavior or bullying that occurs in virtual or augmented reality spaces. Example, virtual harassment can cause real-world mental health issues.
Fourth, non-fungible token, NFT. This is a unique unit of data stored on a digital ledger, used to represent ownership of digital items like art or assets. Example, NFTs are key to digital ownership in the metaverse.
Fifth, cyberpsychology. This is the study of the human mind and behavior in the context of human-technology interaction. Example, cyberpsychology addresses the risks of digital escapism.
And finally, decentralized governance. This refers to systems where decision-making power is distributed across a network rather than held by a single central authority. Example, many platforms are moving towards decentralized governance.
What an analysis. Thank you for walking us through the technical complexities and the ethical minefield of the metaverse, Max.
Our final question for you. Do you feel your digital identity is more valuable than your physical identity? Let us know which one demands more data privacy in the comments below.
Remember to hit that subscribe button. We post a brand new episode with fresh debates and essential vocabulary every single day at 6 a.m. on the English Easy channel.
We'll see you next time. Bye for now.